back. Leader's garment. Quite happy.
It's alright, isn't it? Looks pretty good in that bad boy.
Excellent, I think the word you're looking for is... Look at that thing. Looks beautiful, doesn't it? Beautiful.
Now, only if you're ready for this.
Welcome back to the OTB podcast, the original and still the best New Zealand mountain bike podcast. Coming to you, I believe I worked out that right now it's 39 days until the Whaka 100. And for all of us on this call, it's probably coming around far too soon. But a special guest this week that we're very happy to have here, Katy Winton. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's an honour.
I don't know about an honour. Like Chris said before this show, you're probably doing us more good than we're doing for your brand, so that's good for us.
The check's in the mail.
Yes.
Sorry, Kieran, have we got a brand?
Off-brand, I believe we are. We're the off-brand podcast.
Off-brand, yeah, we're off-brand.
It's like shopping at Pack and Save for your podcast.
Is that what OTB stands for? Off the brand?
Yeah, I think so. We might have just made that up.
Nice.
But before we sidetrack too far, welcome back to New Zealand, Katy. You've been a pretty regular guest over here. So, are you back for a bit, or is it a short visit?
No, I'm back for a long time. I've got a working holiday visa for here now, so I'll be here for. This is my base now for the foreseeable.
Nice.
So I'm pretty stoked on that, actually. Yeah.
Where are you based, Katy?
I'm in Queenstown.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's probably good for skiing right now, but probably not that good for training for a 100k XC marathon.
No, it's been a bit of a shock to the system because last week I was in Canada and it was hot and I was sweating and I wasn't wearing a lot of clothes because I was so warm. And now yesterday I went for a wee pedal and I had full like longs on, like as in thermal longs and everything, like many layers on, a buff on, everything. And my ears were falling off my head and I was like, oh no, I've made the wrong choice. I shouldn't come back yet.
Yeah, you may as well just be at home, right? In the Highlands.
Yeah. It actually felt like Scotland. I was like, oh, well, at least we know what to do with this, so.
You're accustomed to it. Yeah.
Just less iron brew.
Yeah, but there is still some here, so I can keep topped up, thankfully.
Yeah.
The one thing to keep in mind about the Whaka, though, is every time it's Labour weekend, that's our first hot weekend. So the problem is, we do all this training in winter, and then you get to the Whaka and it's hot, and you're like, body is not used to that.
You know what you've done now, though? You've jinxed it, and this will be the year it's cold.
Yeah.
I actually would like it to be cold.
Thanks, Lester.
Cold and rainy.
Yeah, Lester, you've ruined it for everyone.
Actually, I did the first year I did it. I did the 50. Sorry, I think it was. Yeah, the first year I did the 50. I think it was 2015, maybe. Or was it 2005? No, 2015.
Jeez, that's going back a while, mate.
It was. I think that was the last one that they had.
You did the 95 edition, didn't you, Lester?
95, yeah.
On a clunker.
Actually, I think I was at the 95 Karapoti, actually.
I bet you were.
95 or 97. You guys were probably still in nappies.
I was on rollerblades at that point.
Yeah, 97. A real late adapter.
But I believe, I believe that one I'm talking about, with it, whichever year it was, what might have been the last proper wet one, and it was terrible. It was really grim. But we're not going to have a repeat of that this year, so we'll be fine.
There's an oddly sadistic part of me that's like, maybe it'd be fun if it rains. It would be fun for the first 40 Ks. But just, like, I'm going in.
After.
Yeah, well, yeah, we will do that, Katy, and I'm going to be in pain one way or another. But, yeah. Hey, Katy, where do you stand on night riding for training through winter?
Yeah, I like night riding.
Yeah.
I'm in the minority here.
Yeah.
Kieran's scared of the dark.
Oh,
yeah.
You don't like night riding? It's great.
I'm not
though,
here
it's
for
so
it.
Quiet and peaceful.
The last night ride I went on, I came around a corner on a familiar trail in Christchurch and hadn't ridden it for a few weeks, and there was like a garbage can sized hole where the berm had fallen apart at the exit and I didn't see it and my front wheel got swallowed and I chest slammed the ground and was winded for probably like 5 seconds, but it felt like a minute. And
Kieran,
that was the last time I went night riding.
That's the
Can I-
same
can I
result
remind
you had
you,
during
though-
the day.
Yeah, the last time you went day riding, you came around a corner and went over a berm, and then you've got a garbage can sized hole in your arm.
That's true.
Arguably, the night situation was better, less dangerous.
Maybe it's my eyes. Maybe that's the
Yeah.
problem.
Well, hey, mate. Specs is where it's at. Not that I wear them riding, but
That's because you were training in lycra. That's
true.
You were too game face.
Oh, you
Yeah,
started
it's lycra season.
Lycra already.
Yeah.
you're not donning the lycra, Katie. No,
September's
yet.
lycra season.
Oh,
we've embraced it. Hey.
Katie, are you wearing your lycra on like a casual ride, or are you still operating, socially acceptable riding attire on a casual ride?
yeah, I'm still wearing full baggies.
So there we go.
She
Yeah.
probably knows people though, and she rides with people.
Yeah,
That's
I
not
she
just
lives
something
wear
we have to
in
worry
baggies.
about.
Queenstown and spends time in Canada. She knows what's up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Also,
we have to.
when you put the lycra on, then it's on. Like
Yeah.
it's race day,
100%.
so you want to save it. It's like a uniform. All of a sudden, you're going to go way quicker, because you're full aero then.
I didn't see this in your
this-
video about preparation.
That's
though.
because I haven't
you
done
didn't add that.
equipment yet. Equipment's coming.
Right. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I think what you're talking to, Katie, is something we've spoken about extensively on this podcast, is how important the psychological game is come
Oh, yeah.
race day. And I think that Red Dog's actually, he's not on the call today, or the call? What is this, a fucking meeting?
A Zoom call.
Red Dog's not on the call. He couldn't make it. He sent an optional.
Yeah.
But he's been training pretty hard, and he's been in lycra almost consistently now on casual rides. I think he's psyching himself out.
But see, I heard the other day that he turned up to like a social ride where everyone else was in baggies on like trail bikes, and he was in lycra on his XC bike. Is that true? Can you confirm this?
100% true. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah,
He's
that's
changed, He's changed.
Oh,
He's
100%.
stepped over the line.
He's
He's
gonna be
getting rid
riding
of his
for
trail
race
bike.
next. Anyway,
It's-
we've got a guest on, and we've hardly spoken to her. We're going way off the rails
Sorry, Katie.
already. We had a
We're
run
just
sheet, remember?
It's important.
We're just indoctrinating you into the world of this podcast.
No, I like it. What you wear is a big deal. I appreciate it.
I think
just
my first
before we go any
question.
further, I'm going to hang on that point for a second. Sorry, Kieran. Again, a topic we discuss extensively on the podcast. Scenario: you're out for a casual ride. You are
Oh, I
on the
like where this
XC
is
bike
going.
or short travel trail bike. Let's call it the XC
You got to
bike.
put a number on it. A number.
Okay,
under 130
maximum
mil.
120 mil travel bike.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're wearing baggies. Cool. Talk to us about the helmet first. Peak, no peak.
Oh, I've got peak. Yeah.
Okay.
What about when you go into lycra though?
Yeah, I'm going to have to get rid of the peak for the
Well, that's
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
You're on our page.
So just I'm going to run the scenario by you in a little more detail then. Baggies, XC bike, bike appropriate shoes, obviously, so XC shoes.
I'm still running my enduro shoes currently, actually.
Ooh.
I know.
Ooh.
But that's because my XC shoes have been here and I haven't had them.
Yeah, so you've got
well, it's all
you've got
about
an
that,
international
You're
shoe
right.
location problem that most of
Yes,
us don't
I
have to
do.
deal with. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
Lester was in Whistler recently, and he had that problem. He was like, "Do I take my red road shoes with me? Do I take the trail shoes?"
It's such a big problem, when you're riding a massive bike, like turning up in your road shoes. Oh my god!
No.
Are you doing
Not the
most
best.
of your Ks on the XC bike at the moment, Katie, or are you riding a trail bike?
I would be riding my trail bike more for the whole train heavy, race light scenario, but I cracked it.
Ooh.
Oh,
No.
Cracked your trail bike.
Yeah. And I'm really sad about it because I miss it a lot because I like to thrash down hills. And I can on the cross country bike, but it's just not the same, you know?
Yeah.
You can't just let the brakes go and just plough. You have to be a bit more, you gotta have a bit more finesse. So
See,
I'm training on the XC bike the whole time.
I think we need you on the podcast a bit more, Katie. I think this is the balance that we've actually started to lose in our chat.
Yeah, we have.
You know what I did the other day? I went
need a
out
voice
for a
of
Kiwi
reason.
ride. Went out for it like my quick out the gate ride up Mount Vic in Wellington, and I looked at the trail bike and I thought that'll be more fun, but I'm supposed to be training, and I didn't take the trail bike. I should have taken the trail bike. So
Should have. Well, it's only going to do you good because it just makes you stronger.
Science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
be like Katie.
And also,
we're onto it.
Be like Katie.
Also,
Ride the trail bike.
happy athlete is a fast athlete. So,
Man, you should
Absolutely.
coach us.
See,
okay.
You've been listening to the that podcast that we were talking about, Lester, with
The mental
sport
coach.
mind.
Oh, the mental
Mental
coach.
Sam Gaze's,
Yes.
Sam
Yeah,
Gaze's mental coach.
Yep.
Is
The
it
That's his
neuroscientist.
ethos, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
What's his
Happy
name?
athletes. He's awesome. Can't remember.
You've probably come across this guy, Katie. Let me look him up. Hang on. Now I forget his name.
While
sounds like-
you're doing that, what I'd like to know, I know you've done a few big rides. I've seen you have dabbled in a bit of everything, Katie. But what motivated you to race the Whaka? What was the motivating factor here?
Well, a couple of things actually. First of all, I was pretty keen to do another marathon. I did the British Champs last summer, but I wanted to do a real one. A real one.
I was like, what made that
were the
one
British
not real?
champs?
British cross country is interesting because we do a lot of random riding, as in like this one was basically around like fields in a park.
That
through
sounds like
some
the
woods.
most British thing in the world.
Yeah. So like
There's
it
like
wasn't.
an old bloke wearing waders in one corner waving a flag to go through a farm gate and you got to dodge some sheep or something.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That was what was going on. So I wanted to do one that was actual mountain biking, and this is the ultimate one, I believe, because it's, some of the best single track in the world. So I was like, right, I'm going to do it. Also, my life had kind of fallen apart, and I was like, right, this is a nice thing to have to aim for in a year's time, to be like, training for, getting fit for, and then be like, sweet, hit a goal by the end of all that. So, yeah.
So
I entered pretty much immediately as soon as they came on.
Been on this for like a year.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
I have, but I only started prepping 8 weeks before the event.
This sounds just like us.
Well, this is what we were talking about last week. Is you're coming off a good base, Katie.
I am, yes. And
You've got a good base to work from.
I haven't utilised this ever in my life before to know how it works, right? Because I've always trained, so I've never had to sort of lean on the base. It's there, guys. It's insane. Great. So I'm pretty happy
real.
about that.
It's a base
saw,
built on riding trail bikes as well.
Yes, exactly.
And heavy shoes.
Yes. Yep.
Have you got any theories on? I watched one of your videos the other day, and you did your 20-minute power test, and you said it was your best power ever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you reckon that's because you were coming in super fresh, or what's your kind of theories behind that?
Yeah, combination of things. Definitely the freshness thing helps, I reckon. Also massive life stress gone. So I've had a lot less stress in my life for 10 months now, which I think, once you let that relieve from the system, and I think it does take quite a long time for it all to come out. So I reckon I'm pretty in ship shape at the moment. So yeah, I think the freshness of all of that, but then also the life stress scenario being so much lower, meant that I came in fresh physically, but also fresh in all sense of the word. So
Nice.
But it blew me away. Like, I was not expecting that, because I'd done a 23-hour week the week before. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
I did a 40-hour week the week before working.
Yeah, this is a working week.
You didn't do 40 hours at work.
No. What am I kidding?
Yeah. Sorry, Lester.
It was 30, sorry.
How many hours did Gemma do?
Yeah.
60.
Whaka's a good one as well, Katie, because it's fun. Like the whole race is good riding. It's good fun.
Yes, exactly. Just all the best single track.
Mm-hmm.
Was it fun, Chris, last year when you were howling in pain with cramp?
It was It was one of the funniest. Like it was the weirdest mix of emotions. It was one of the most painful situations I found myself in, but also one of the most comical. It was so funny. Like I was pissing myself laughing while also screaming in pain. So Katie, I got to.
That must have been
I
a
got
really
to
interesting noise, actually.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, friend of the show, Malcolm Cleland, was riding up the road behind me, and he was maybe 100 meters behind me, and I cramped in one of my quads just above my knee, and then I felt the other one go at the same time. I was like, shit, what do I do? So I hopped off the bike, and then my glutes went as well. So I was front and back, and I was screaming.
That happened to
But
me
it
in
was
old
a-
Chevy.
Yeah. And it was a what do I do situation. So I was screaming. My buddy Malcolm's coming up the trail, and I'm literally going to Malcolm, Melly, what do I do? What do I do? And he's like, just try and move. So I'm walking up the road like fucking stick man. It's great.
Like the Tin
Where
Man.
was that, Chris?
Hey.
Whereabouts was that?
So that was going up to
Kung Fu Walrus.
Yeah, going up to Kung Fu.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'd come down from Billy T, which, so you drop into what? You drop into Teehee. It must be 40 clicks or something.
Yeah.
It was 50
That's
right
basically
at the
exactly
top,
what
I
I think.
think. Yeah.
And I was so pumped when I dropped into Teehee because I'd never ridden Teehee and Billy T on the XC bike. I was like, this is going to be so fast and so fun. And I just punched it. It was probably one of the fastest runs I've ever done down there. And then hit the road at the bottom, just pumped because I'd passed a few guys, and probably just put it into way higher pace climbing up the road than I needed to because I was so psyched and didn't drink any water, hadn't ate anything, and just it all blew up so fast.
You hadn't eaten anything or drank anything until this point?
No, I had until that point, but
Okay.
but from kind of like there's quite a big climb up to the start of Teehee, and then Teehee's like what's it, like a 10-minute sort of sustained
great
downhill,
track.
and I was peaking the whole way down, and then just got onto the climb. It was great. So we're learning, it's a learning experience.
Yeah, I just have this feeling like, I mean, I cramped multiple times last year as well, but it's just, there's something in my mind that makes me think this year's going to be better, but I have no reason to believe that
it is.
Like, there's no...
It's going to rain. Let's just jinx
Yeah,
it.
exactly. That will be the savior for us if it rains.
It's going to be
I'll tell you
cold.
what.
Yeah, I have no
Right,
justification as to why
Interesting
I
is-
won't be
I'll have some
cramping.
Gaviscon for you, KB.
Yeah, thanks. That's what we need.
Actually, what's the go-to for cramp, Katie, for you? Chris has a secret weapon. But,
What is it?
I'm going to
What
preempt
is it?
Katie's answer here. Go train.
No, it still hits you.
Don't go too far over your threshold.
Yeah, you must have gone some places in your career, Katie. What can you tell us about cramp?
To be honest, I've only cramped. The last time I cramped was in the marathon that I did the last time, and I was on Rhino Power electrolyte tablets. They saved me. Once I started getting them in May, I was fine. But Bradshaw told me cramp stop.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
He's given me cramp stop once before on a long casual ride, but just a long casual ride.
Yeah, well, you
And-
went riding with Bradshaw.
Yeah. It was a Tour de Wellington ride like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he had potatoes in his pocket as well this day, and it was one of my early meetings with Bradshaw, and I'd never seen anything like that before. But yeah, he slipped me a cramp stop tab. Katie,
Did it work?
He slipped you one. It
At
sounds
the
like a
time.
drug dealer.
Yeah. No, I shelved it. He slipped it to me.
This is taking a new turn.
Yeah. I've also heard. I read every like endurance article online about cramp says at the bottom of every one of these articles, the bottom thing is always, and if you can't solve it, take some Tums. And I'm like, what are Tums? So Tums are a antacid. They're not a sports thing at all. They're an antacid tab. So in a recent race that we did here in Wellington, there was also a 100k race. I got on some Gaviscon, or was it Maxigesic? which is essentially just antacids. And it worked. Same thing.
I
It
didn't
did
know
work.
you'd actually tried
It
this.
worked. Yeah.
I've never ever read this anywhere, and I've listened to
Neither.
a lot of podcasts
I've got to find
and
an
read
article.
a lot of stuff.
I've
And
just
I've
put-
never come
can-
across this.
Can we
Until-
screen share on this?
Did you take it once you started getting cramp or before you were getting the cramp?
I got to the top of a climb at about the 70k mark in this race here in Wellington called the Faultline Epic, and I was going, I'm amazed I haven't cramped yet, but I could feel, you can feel the tingles, and I was like, right, I'll take one, and then I took two because I was like, well, I may as well. And
one's good, two is better, right?
100%. Yep, that's the rule, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
And I think it worked.
And you didn't cramp that whole race?
I didn't cramp quite like I did at Whaka.
Oh. So there was still cramp?
Well, there was just general pain.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, yeah.
How hot was
Yeah.
the fault line? Wasn't hot though, was it?
Nah, it was.
Because I think that like Whaka last year was hot, and it was the first hot weekend. Like so many people cramped. In fact, everyone I've spoken to
Interesting.
had terrible bouts of cramp. And
You didn't tell me this. You could have really comforted me for the last 12 months, Lester.
I was crippled, same as you. I didn't have the back of me go, but both my quads locked up. Never happened in my life before.
Oh.
And it was the same place coming out the bottom of Billy T.
See, this
That
is
was
the
where
psychological edge that I've been needing.
quad. I had a
reckon
double
what
quad
it
cramp
is-
on that same climb.
How
Did you, on the
often do you
road?
Yeah, same spot.
Yeah, I reckon it's coming out of, because you're, like you said, Chris, you're like 12, 13 minutes, whatever. Actually, no, it can't be that. But it must be 8. And you're standing the whole time. And if you're not riding long descents, then you're not going to be used to that. And like, I don't even go mountain biking, so
So
even harder.
there's a great irony in this, is that we're all mountain bikers who all got a background in downhill and enduro. And from what I'm taking from what you're saying, Lisa, the reason I cramped is because I don't do enough downhill.
Yes, exactly. But you can't, I mean, even in Wellington, you can't do an 8-minute downhill. Or not an 8-minute track where you're standing, can you?
No, every time, because all my training is running as well. All my downhill running is
That's
8,
the other
9
problem.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Katie, where do you stand on running for cross training?
I love running for training, but up hills.
Yeah.
It needs to be hill running.
What do you do
And
when
then
you get
it's
to the
all
top?
You
Do you
run
look
back
down?
down again.
Oh.
Well, I can, because I'm here, but yeah. I mean, that's the ideal, but
We're doing the reverse Rotorua shuttle.
yeah. Just jump on the bus on Rotorua.
Red Dog's in
Yeah.
a spot of bother right now. Like, he's at risk of losing his seat on the OTP podcast because I'm going to start campaigning for Katie as a permanent fixture, because I feel like I've got an ally here, like someone who shares my views on running for training, riding the trail bike more often. I can't agree on the wearing your trail shoes on the XC bike, but
Needs
everyone's
must.
got their flaws, right? But good stuff.
No, I think it's really good. I've loved it. It's also just good for your head, isn't it? Something different. And also, when it's winter, sometimes biking in the winter is just an absolute nightmare. You just want to put some shoes on, go run up some hills, and you're done. Take the shoes off and not have to deal with the rest.
Heaps
100%.
easier than the cleanup. So
Definitely.
what's the game plan? Katie coming in, like, I think Kieran said we got 39 days to go or something.
Yeah, that was a stat that freaked me out a little bit, actually.
Yeah. I was looking at the calendar this morning, actually, and I was freaking myself out on that too. You kind of have all these plans, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, the plans have to go out the window because it's too late to actually do too much. So anyway, what's your game plan between now and, or what have you been up to?
Well, I just got back from Canada, so I've just been sort of adapting to this life again. And now I've got my first intervals of being back here tomorrow, and then we're just gonna get into it, really. Yeah.
Nice.
I've still got videos going out every week, so I'll be quite busy with that. And yeah, just trying to stay healthy at this point because I really want to keep banking training, and I think this is the risky period when you can potentially get ill or injured, and then
Yeah.
you're really screwed.
Especially coming like off the plane from a hot climate to a cold climate. Yeah. Incidentally, when I got back from Canada 3 weeks ago, I think it was, we were there for 12 days. I got back and we'd ridden 10 days solid, no day off, 2 rides a day kind of thing, like heaps.
Whoa.
And I was like, sweet, heaps of training in the bank. It was just cruising around the valley, get home. And then 2 days later, I was sick in bed for like 4 days. Well, sick for 4 days, in bed for 2 of them. And too much too soon, obviously. But you get that.
Oh, it's so easy to do. The travel really cooks you, especially when you've done that much volume and everything before.
For sure.
Pretty intense.
So yeah. So when you say you got intervals coming up, what kind of things are we talking?
Well, so far I've just got tomorrow's set, which is 5 minutes. I think about 4 5-minute efforts with some. I only just got it. Don't look at it. I can tell you properly if you want. But yeah,
So
just some 5-minute intervals because I've just got back and we just need to wake the system up. I've taken a few days to come round. I've been a bit cooked actually, but not ill, just rinsed. Because that was 4 months on the road. And then this is me just back now. So it's like a come down of all that chaos as well. So
nice.
Oh no, 6 minutes actually. 6 minutes on, 3 minutes off. 3 of them.
Solid.
Yeah. So this is my just little wake up body.
Wake up
Where
zone.
are you doing your intervals, Katy? Are you on road climb or out on the road or around
I
the
think
running track?
I will be doing this one on the road. I reckon either Cornet or Remarks Road. I reckon, but avoiding ski times so I don't get run over.
Yeah.
Very cool. Does Bradshaw prescribe these on a potato basis? Is this like a 3 potato day or is it a 4 potato day?
No, but I would like this now. Now that I know that he deals in potatoes, I would
It'd
like
be a good measurement of
prescribed
intensity.
Yeah. The problem you're going to have there, Katy, is you will need to start riding in a pair of quite old Yeti shorts with big side pockets just full of mashed potatoes. So
just
the
with a little shovel. Shovel them in.
Well, no, it's just hand in the plastic bag.
Just hand in.
Yeah.
Okay.
The potato diet's probably got some really sound nutritional benefits, but the logistics are really, I think, where the barriers are there.
Intense. Maybe I need a little frame bag actually, and then you can just
little bento box, top tube bag just full of mashed potatoes.
What's in your bag there? Oh, just potato.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't even need to get your hand involved. You could probably just stay. Straight down.
Straight down.
Someone will be like, "What have you got in your frame bag?" And you go, "Oh, just potatoes." And they go, "Oh, you training with Bradshaw?"
Yeah.
This is calling card.
Yeah.
100%. So now we're talking about food. What do you reckon you'll be eating over the day at Whaka, Katy? What's your
I'm yet to kind of figure this out actually, and actually you guys can maybe give me some insight. Did you eat real food? Were you able to eat real food?
We
Kieran
all have
ate his
quite
own
different
weight in
approaches
gels.
here.
Okay.
Yeah. Kieran ate 16 gels.
Yeah.
16 gels.
Yeah.
16 or 18?
It was potentially 17. I don't remember exactly. It was around 16 to 17 gels. I didn't eat anything solid.
Katy, do you reckon that's where we all went wrong? In that Craig Oliver, who won, what did he have? 3 gels.
Yeah.
What? He only had 3 gels for the whole thing.
It was like nothing.
Those guys are psychos.
He didn't even have anything in his bottles.
Oh,
he may have.
But even if he did,
yeah,
he was running pretty lean. Yeah. It was either 3 or 4, can't remember, but it was very, very minimal.
Yeah, I was doing some calculations
didn't have
today.
Anything, did he?
No, I don't think he had a couple of gels, but
he had
like food,
one bottle.
Yeah, true. He hardly had any gels. Yeah, he was on the solid food.
I was doing some calculations today, so I'm planning on using the pure race fuel, which is like 90 grams of carbs for a bottle. So that's
I've been running that. That's good.
Yeah, so I've been using that a bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very, very edible.
So pretty much if you can get a bottle down in an hour, that's a pretty solid base. And then if you have a gel or something on top,
of gel.
Yeah. I'm just gonna fill a water bottle up full of gels and just drink that. But yeah, pretty much like if you can get one of those bottles in an hour, then you've got a pretty solid base of carbs. And then if you can get something solid down, I think is probably pretty helpful too. Somewhere along the line.
The feed
I got
station's
back
good too.
on the feed station is good. Yeah, I got back on the LCM bars today, KB.
Yeah. Split
They got the new
sticks
ones
yogurt.
with I'm not into the split sticks, but the ones to get are the ones with the marshmallows in them because they got
actually,
extra
yeah.
sugar.
Stole one of those from Oscar the other day. Pretty good.
And I've got this theory because I rode on those last year. They're not super high in carb in the bar itself, like it's 20 grams of carb in a bar. But I figure you can probably squash the bar because it's you know what these are, Katie? They're like a rice bubble bar kind of thing.
Oh,
You buy at
right.
the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're mostly air. So you squash them down, and you could probably put 2 or 3 in a packet. So then you got like a stack of 60 grams, and then you're seriously like,
Then you're
then
on.
you're talking.
But they're easy to eat too.
That race fuel, and they are easy to eat. Yeah.
Which is a big thing for me because it's like eating a Cliff Bar or something is so hard to get down. Like unless you've got a nice long flat of like bit of low intensity, which you don't have at the Whaka, like getting something solid down is hard work.
That's actually the problem, isn't it? It's like anywhere where you're on the road, you're on a climb. There's not really any long, flat, mellow sections where you can even like sit up, get stuff, and kind of chew through it. I got into the Ems Power Cookers. I'm quite a fan of those. I have no idea what their nutritional value is, but they're moist enough that you can eat them,
and they're delicious.
They are. They're definitely the better tasting bar. But I also in the fault line, I've learned a lot about the Whaka from the intervening racing that I've done, 2 XC races.
2 XC races, yeah.
It's 2 more than I've done since then.
Yeah, we're up.
Yeah.
Salt and vinegar chippies are my new secret weapon. So they had like.
Are you just
4
carrying
or
around
5...
like a family bag of salt and vinegar chips?
No, this was the fault line was also an ultra run, and so they had like 5 or 6 feed stations around the course, or more, mainly set up for the runners, but anyone could help themselves. And they had chippies at every single one, and it was either the Maxi Gzic or the chippies or both that I think got me through.
Were you
easy
washing
to eat as
the
well.
chips down
They
with
just
the Maxi
crunch.
Gzic?
I was washing them down with a Coke, mate. And a pie. No, I think chippies are good because they crush very easily. There's potato in them, so they get the Bradshaw tick of approval.
That's it, yeah.
And you get that extra salt and vinegar. Or you go a
Facts.
chicken flavour, maybe.
Interesting choice. Are you thinking
Yeah,
about maybe just putting them in your pocket and then crushing them all into kind of like crumbs in your pocket, and then you just scoop out handfuls of chips?
I'm wondering if maybe I could have just a bottle just full of crushed chippies, and I'll just spin the lid off and just.
Yes.
What you could do? You could get a bottle of Gaviscon, like the liquid, and then you could soften up the chips, and you could have like a salt and vinegar Gaviscon mixture in your bottle for a superfood.
No, we're making a little Gaviscon marinade the night before, and we're making our own homemade chippies.
Jesus.
Popping them in the top tube bento box, and away we go.
Wow.
Katie's just sitting here like, what did I sign up for to come and talk to these idiots? Like, we're a lighter take on racing at this podcast.
Yeah, I love it.
The one thing that I did learn last year, and I was a bit concerned it might happen. Last year I didn't ride with a camelback. I just decided to use feed stations and models.
You arrogant son of a bitch.
Majorly on me because I had high carb mix in my bottles, and I lost a bottle quite early on. And then there was a big span where I had nothing. And then I got to the feed station, put new bottles in, and I lost those on the next downhill. And then I managed to find a bottle. Oh, no, sorry. I had an empty bottle on my bike.
I found a bottle.
That was another time.
On course. Jumped off and grabbed it.
Found a Heineken.
Yeah. But I did find a bottle later in the day at a drink station. The one that I was thinking of, though, I'd actually finished. And so then I was refilling that until like the last water station, someone had just biffed a bottle on the floor, and I was like, I need extra water. But of course, all my fuel was like sitting up on the hill in the bottles that I'd lost.
Oh, man.
So I did have some gels with me as well, but it was a major fail. So
Have you got some better bottle cages for this year?
the funny thing is, what was
No.
different is the bike. Those cages, I'd never dropped the bottle. Running the same cages, never dropped one. But I was on a
No.
borrowed bike for that race.
Yeah, but you were missing an important detail here, Lester. You thought you were being clever running a big bottle. You had like a 4 or 5 litre bottle in there that was what was it? It was like 900 ml or something.
5 litre bottle.
Maybe just a 1 litre.
I think
No,
I ran
it was a tall boy.
He had
I
a
did
1
run
litre.
one of the 900 ml bottle to the start.
And that's
start the
too
race.
much. That's too much weight for one little bottle cage to handle. Like that's
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm going to be running a Camelback this year, regardless of what happens.
There you are.
Well, the
Mm.
bag drop
Two.
is only at 35 Ks this year, so it's much earlier than it was last year.
Mm.
So you kind of you've got a big span with 2 big climbs, like 2 the biggest climbs, actually 3 decent climbs, because you've got the No Brains climb in there as well, really, before you kind of get back to the last water station before you go up Pondy. So there's like a good 3 hour plus stretch in the middle of no real support.
Can
I
I
think
run by my plan by you guys and see what you think?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right, so I got 2 bottle cages on my bike. So I'm going to run 2 bottles for the first 35k, and then I'm going to pick up my Camelback at that point.
Interesting.
And then
That's
I'm
my
going to run
favourite.
that until the next thing.
Are you getting fresh
And-
bottles as well there with your Camelback?
I haven't decided that yet.
How many
Depends if
liters?
it's raining or not.
How many liters
Uh,
are we
but
talking?
2 litres in my backpack, but guys, wait for this. It's got 2 compartments. 1 litre of something and 1 litre of something else, so I can
Oh.
do carbs and water in the backpack.
Look at that.
That's a good move, because
yeah.
I'm planning on picking up my pack, which will be 1.5 litres, which I'll probably just run water in, but I'll get 2 more bottles of race fuel as well at the 35k mark. And I'm hoping that those 2 bottles in the water will get me through to like the bottom of Pondy for hopefully another couple of fresh
And-
bottles.
What's the deal with the changeover at these zones? Like, what's going on?
Are you racing?
Is it
You'll be
just
racing
rolling?
elite, I take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it depends. If you've got someone feeding you, you can have someone in the feed zone, like in that 35k one.
Okay.
If you're not racing elite, I think it's pretty loose. But
Okay.
otherwise, like as you're
you've got to
rolling,
be there real early to drop your shit off. Which, not doing that.
but as you roll up, like if you've got stuff, a bag drop, as you're rolling up, when you're getting close, they have people radioing ahead to the bag drop. So then when you get there, they're pulling your bag out with your stuff for you to grab. It works really well.
Look at that.
It is
Yeah.
pretty
it's
pro.
slick.
Yeah.
That's very slick.
I would offer a recommendation to your plan, Katie.
Yes, please.
I think going out into the back, probably the third quarter of the track, you're a long way from home, and having empty bottles out there, even if you've picked up a full pack, is a dangerous idea. I think I would recommend having a couple of tabs, like a couple of
Acid or
electrolyte, a couple of LSD tabs, a couple of electrolyte tabs, just really, really handy to just drop in your bottle, because there's water stations out that way, so they've just got a couple of big tankers, and it's not a feed station or anything, but there's 2 of them. One as you come off the bottom of Kung Fu, and then one as you're making your way back towards
Bondi elevator.
There's one with like
back
20
up
cables.
towards Split Ends. Yeah, and the last one, which
No, it's
is
longer than that.
yeah, but it's also just before the big climb up to Split Ends.
Yeah.
And so if you get stuck, there's 2 tankers, but having an electrolyte tab just to throw in the bottle then is going to save you.
Yeah. Great. This is awesome tips. Thank you. Appreciate that. I shall add it
You're
to the
welcome.
list.
It is tough this year with that 35k bag drop, because it does change the game
Yeah.
considerably. Because I do other years I've done bag drop at 50k, and one year I took my bladder out and I got a 3-litre bottle of water and I tipped it in there, and then I did my thing back up and I put that back on.
Jeez, that's
And
slow.
then I learned that. It was very slow. I mean, we did it super quick, but it was still way too slow. Last year was a muzzer because of the bottle dropping scenario. But then, I should be able to do the race with 2 camelbacks essentially, and 2 bottles each half. But when you kind of got to get through 60 odd K, in fact, it's going to be longer than that, really, isn't it? On a camelback and 2 bottles, it's kind of like almost a mandatory stop somewhere.
I'm curious about the picking the camelback up or picking the hydration pack up at the feed zone idea. I reckon you'd almost be better to be carrying that and to have emptied your 2 bottles before you get there and pick up new bottles.
Nah, too much weight.
I know, but the problem is I'm expecting it to be relatively fast at the start.
It is.
And I want to be as light as I can be to stay, because I know that for me, not being a marathon racer, I don't want to burn my matches too early. So if I'm lighter at the start, then it means I'm not pushing too much power to stay with as close as I can, and then put the weight on once things have calmed down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I reckon in that case you run an empty hydration pack, but pick up fresh bottles at the feed zone.
But then what's the
Then
point
you
of running an
pick
empty
up
hydration pack?
And bottles, right?
Well, no, your hydration pack's not a
backwards.
hydration pack. Then it's a food pack. Well, it's got your maps in it. It's got your compass.
Oh, I see.
The Flint.
We're not doing an adventure race. It's not the coast, mate.
Shit, right?
But the changeover at the bag drop is super fast. Like last year, I had 2 bottles in a little drawstring bag, 2 bottles, and I had a Ziploc bag which I just filled up with all the food, which was just gels and a couple of bars that I didn't eat. And I literally just grabbed that pack out. I had my cargo bibs on, so I just threw that in one of my pockets on the leg. Pulled my 2 empty bottles off, threw them in the bag, put the 2 fresh bottles in my bike, and I was at the thing for 10 to 15 seconds max. And then I was moving again. And then on that climb up from there, up direct road, because it's pretty slow and steep, I just started pulling my gels out and distributing them around the pockets that I wanted them in. So it worked pretty well.
The other thing which I didn't think of until after last year's race was you could get a little Musette bag, put all your gear in there, and so you're going through the bag handoff, you grab your Musette over a shoulder, and you grab your camelback on the back, and then you start farming that stuff out. So you might be 10 seconds, might be 5 seconds.
That just sounds a recipe for disaster as you're cross-eyed, cooked, going through the feed zone.
It's only 35 k's in.
You picked up a Musette bag and then you put in your hydration. What's happened here is you've got one arm through the Musette bag and then you put the hydration pack on and then the hydration pack on the other arm and you're just all tangled up in your shit. But then you're like, well, I can't stop. And Lester's coming across the finish line. He's lost all his bottles. He's tangled himself up in his Musette bag, his hydration pack. And then in the process, the hydration tube has gotten stuck under as well. So he's been carrying all this shit, but he hasn't been able to drink anything from it. That's what's happening there.
Melted to your rotor. You melt the end of your pipe off, kind of thing,
He comes across the finish line, and the hydration tube just goes through the front wheel, and he's out the front door.
Total chaos.
Other bit of advice, Katie, actually, don't go and check out the creek gap before the race. Hit it blind, but go the high line.
Maybe
sure?
not the best advice. You probably should go have a look at it just so you know what is where.
I'm pretty sure
What
that
you
people
do.
are going over the bars through that thing, aren't they?
Yeah, see, I'm
Yeah,
confident in your descending skills. I think you'll be fine. But just go and have a look so you know where you're actually going.
Yeah, do go and look at it. But it's one of these ones. You're at the end of the race. You're cross-eyed, and you just got to give it a big pull, and you'll clear the gap. But you'll it's a harsh landing, but you'll carry it. You'll be fine. But you've just got to give it a big pull.
The best
I
bit.
think the hardest bit is getting into the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
I
technical.
was super cooked coming into it, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to crack. I'm going to be the guy who goes like over the bars before he even gets to the creek gap. Unfortunately,
Going
that
off
didn't
the
happen,
front.
but it was certainly
I
certainly crossed my mind.
I had two quite amusing incidences there. So in the race, I landed, like pulled up, gapped it, pretty much cleared the whole thing. But as I landed and my legs were kind of straight in the air from the way I jumped, both of my quads cramped again. So
No.
I then am like turn, because you've got to instantly turn left and go up this little bit of a pinch climb out of it, and I'm like trying to fight through this
love
double
that.
cramp in my legs again and pedal up just this short little steep pinch while there's all these people around cheering and watching, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't like fall over and screw this up right now. I'm literally like 50 meters from the finish line. But then
That
the
is
other one
so
was the day before the race, or a couple of days before, I went and had a look at the gap because I'd, obviously seen all these videos of people crashing, and I rolled down, a couple of people I know, I'm talking to them, and next thing, like, this young kid comes down, he's probably like early teens, and he just about crashes. He bakes it through the river though, like doesn't gap it, but he just gets a bit squirrely. Then his mum comes down. She ends up like coming to a stop right in the middle of the creek, like both feet in the water. But then, as they're kind of like joking about that, the dad comes in and just scorpions into the creek, just out of nowhere. Just it was carnage. Like, it just went from okay to worse to just complete chaos. Like, it was brilliant. Yeah.
I think one of the other things we all learned from last year is the last 10Ks is deceptive. You think you're on the home straight, and then it just goes and winds and winds and winds and winds, and that's where Kerry's legs fell off.
No, they fell off at about 45 Ks.
Yeah, then they fell off again.
Yeah,
but yeah, that last sort of 10Ks to the finish line is, I think you've got to be mentally prepared for it not being
The end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is hard. Yeah,
because you're so close to the finish as well. Like, especially if you ride there often, that area at the bottom of what's it called? Challenge.
We come out of Old Chev, kind of.
And anytime you're riding in Rotorua, when you're there, you're like, home. The car's like, 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
And then you get to that point in the race, and you've still got 30 minutes, and it's just you go back and forth on yourself. It's great. And then you pass Kerry like dead on the ground. Well, you don't pass him, but you're about 30 minutes behind, but you still hear him.
Especially when you're like looking at your Garmin and you're like, oh, I'm at 90 Ks. Like, it's so close now. Like, I've got 10 Ks to go, but that 10 Ks, you're just like, oh, this is taking a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. Good hot tip.
I'm having flashbacks now.
I think
I'm not going to sleep well tonight.
The funniest thing was, like, you come through the finish line, and I think this is a joint sentiment, but I finished and I was like, thank God that's over. That's enough. I don't need to do this again. But then about 30 minutes later, I'm like, how can I go faster next year? And it's just, it was an instant 180, like, okay, I'm coming back, and how can I do better? So,
I experienced a similar thing. I riding the last couple of meters to the finish line, I think I was ugly man crying, like joy, like, wow, I can't believe I've done it, like all that, and then fear that the cramp was going to return as soon as I sat down, and then just pain. But yeah, same bit. It only took about 10-15 minutes. I was like, fuck, that was awesome. Let's do it again. Same thing happened at Faultline, actually. Like, Faultline was a far less enjoyable race. And there were parts in that race where I was just like, I've never been so lonely on a bike. Like 9 o'clock in the morning, kind of autumn in Wellington, riding across Skyline with no one around, going, this is horrible. But they'd got to the finish line and I was like, oh God, this is sick. Being an endurance race is mean.
Hey, so that brings up a good topic.
Made all the difference to your prep as well, hasn't it, Chris?
Hey, what's that?
It's made all the difference to your prep going into this year too.
Well, we've talked about this. My prep for this year started about 6 months before last year.
That's right. It's got
So
to
you're
build that
18
base.
months.
Yeah.
You go.
Oh, I was going to say,
I've
because
been training for 36 years.
I was in a group of like some young guys, like under 21 guys, who were quite fast, and I kind of clung onto that, which could have been part of the problem until we're probably about an hour and a half in. Once we hit that first feed zone, at that about 35k mark, and that was where I was like, right, I need to back off a bit. And so pretty much from about that part there, so we're about an hour and a half in, I basically rode with no one until the finish. I was pretty much on my own. Every now and then you'd come across people, or you'd be briefly around someone, but I essentially spent like 4.5 hours solo just with my own thoughts.
Yeah.
So this year I was like, I think I'm wearing my headphones, because even if I'm around people, I'm not out to chit chat. I was like, I just need some like heavy drum and bass or something just to keep me moving.
You'll get DQ'd, mate. You'll get DQ'd.
No, you're allowed as long as you wear
the
bike
OTP
conducting.
podcast.
No, I think
Really?
have they put that back in? Because they pulled that out.
It was there last year, and Shocks is a partner of the Whaka, so surely.
I was going to say,
maybe they put it back. I know some of their events, they say no bone ones as well. Anyway.
We might just need to check into this, because there probably is a provision in the rule where you can use headphones at the Whaka if you're listening to the OTP podcast.
Yeah, we'll get that put in, I reckon.
We should.
Special
What we need to
dispensations.
do, we should stitch up a 7-hour like motivational podcast that's just all the best bites, and it's pretty much like if you're facing tough times, you're at that 60k mark when you're out near what's it called, bad brains, bad blood,
no
brain
brains,
dead,
no brains.
You're out there. It's pretty lonely out there at times, because I was the same. I was by myself out there, and all you just need the soothing voice of Kieran and Lester, just cheering you on.
We can just voice clone, and then AI can just read a motivational book by us.
Just gonna get you, Lester. I'm gonna voice clone you, and then can you read some Tony Robbins to me?
Oh man. Hey,
There we go.
I had some technical issues earlier, so I don't know how much I missed, but have we talked to Katy about what bike she's riding at the Whaka?
No, we haven't actually. No, we haven't gone there.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to tune in this week.
Oh, is there an
Next week.
announcement coming?
Oh,
Yeah. Well, it's not really an announcement. I got this bike myself, so.
So there's no.
But it's pimped. I'm
Yeah.
real happy with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
so just from a media perspective, it's probably fair that we don't try and scoop Katy's own announcement from her own podcast.
I'm just plugging my own video, guys. That's all.
No, that's all right. You can do that. We're we're an equal opportunity podcast and media outlet, if we could call ourselves that. I'm not sure.
We're more of a media inlet.
That's right. We basically take other people's media and then regurgitate it.
Without revealing too much, Katy, but maybe tease the bike a little. What's sort of the setup here? Are we going like hardcore XC race setup? A bit more fun.
Downhill as
What's
XC
the
bike type of thing, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's a 120 front and rear, so it's
yeah,
good. I wanted to be able to have fun in it. I wanted this bike to
Perfect.
be everything after this race as well. And also I was like, 100Ks, like I want to have a good time. So yeah, it's a beast.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
it's fast. The only thing is, right, so I've been riding it for a wee while now, and it's very capable. These wee bikes are really capable now.
they are, aren't
The
they?
Dangerous.
tires, though, oh my days, terrifying, right? I was in Squamish, and I found myself on some loamer track, which was sick, and I was like, this is rad. And I was coming down it, and it was, because it's been so dry there, it was so dusty, and I was not hooking. Like, the rear tire was not stopping me, and I was not slowing down, and I was literally terrified. I was like, I have not been this scared on a bike in so long, because I just couldn't stop. I had to use a tree to stop. I was like, wow. And I actually had to walk down because it was so steep that I was like, I will actually not, there's no way I can actually get down this. So I've really found the limits of the tires, which is very sad because I really missed the trail bike because I want to just ride down the hills. But yeah, apart from that, I think I'd like to get some burlier tires on it for the next few weeks just for the fun factor.
It's probably a
Yeah.
good choice in Queenstown
that's-
too.
I
That's a
know, 'cause
slippery
I'm still
slope though,
riding stick
because
tracks.
you'll deal with the tires, and then you'll find that 120 mils runs out real quick. The first time, one of the first rides I did on my XC bike when I got it, It was the first time I've never had an XC bike before, and I went out night riding. It's the second ride actually, and had a fucking huge crash by myself at night time.
Yeah, night
And
riding,
really
it's
it came
not
down
safe.
to like, oh, it's dangerous as all hell. But all it was like I forgot that I was on the XC bike. It was so capable that it goes fast, and then all of a sudden you just run out of traction or talent. But
Or it gets caught on the front end. I've found that a couple of times. Like I've sort of, gone to ride into something and it almost stops the front, gets caught. Because you're used to having a bit more travel that just kind of can go over a thing, and then you get caught and you're just like over the bars. It's a couple of times happened to me, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Just
Plus, your weight
die,
bias is way heavier on the front wheel than it is usually on like an enduro bike because your front end's much lower, like less travel and everything. So I know that what you're meaning with that one.
Are you running a reverse reverse grade stem, Katie?
No.
Reverse grade stem.
What do you call it?
The super low ones.
Negative rise.
An upside down stem.
Like that, yeah. No,
a dickhead
not.
stem.
That's
Yeah,
what
I've
I'm
got
running. I'm running a
35 mil
dickhead stem.
on it.
Only -7 degrees out. It's not a big one.
That's not.
You guys are serious. Mine's still very much basically a small travel enduro bike.
No, see, I just built a new Santa Cruz Blur recently, but I put 180mm rotors on it and 4-piston brakes.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, I put the SRAM level 4-piston brakes on, and they're awesome, especially with the 180mm rotors. Because in Nelson, it's like if I go ride up Fringe Hill or something, you've got like a 10-minute descent, and 160mm rotors and 2-piston brakes do not cut it. So
I have got codes actually. I put codes on mine.
Well, you've
that'd
got
be money.
maybe some Mavens. Should just go to Mavens, like just level it right up.
Actually, I saw something on
Dario from Pink Bike
the other day.
Yeah, it was on Pink Bike.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, man, that'd be sick. But the caliper would be like heavier than half your wheel.
Yeah,
like those calipers are so heavy.
Kerry, do you reckon maybe that's partly because you're talking about how capable that bike is, and you put the big brakes on it, but the last time you rode your bike, you literally ripped your arm open, and I wasn't there, but I know exactly what happened. You hit those corners like you were on the downhill bike. Do you think that just the added bit of weight in the rotor just meant you were just carrying just a bit too much speed?
Yeah, maybe it was the fact that my new bike is about 300 grams heavier than my old one, and it could just be that extra few hundred grams. It was just pushing me a bit more than I'm used to. Could have been what it was.
I just can't believe you know the difference between your old bike weight and your new bike weight.
Well, of course I weighed it. Like you saw what I was doing today, overlaying maps from the Whaka. Like I'm an absolute data nerd. Like.
Oh my goodness, that's true.
Yeah, I don't ride a bike without a power meter these days.
One thing I was thinking about the other day is we should do a round of strengths and weaknesses. And so, Katie, let's start with you. What do you think your strengths are coming in, and what are your weaknesses?
Right. Okay. Straight in. I think my strength is being able to ride a bike down a hill. My weakness is going to be going too hard too soon and then dying towards the end.
I think that was basically the 2-part recap of my Whaka last year.
I would say, well, go, Kieran. What are your strengths and weaknesses, mate?
I mean, the descending one is good, but I actually watching your video, Katie, and you're talking about how you can't really make up that much time on the descents, and that was something I noticed today when I was looking at some overlaid maps. That's a whole different topic to go on to.
The data matches up.
Yeah, it does. It was absolutely true. Like the times that I would make up on the descents weren't enough to make up for my shortcomings on some of the bigger climbs. But I mean, descending definitely, but I think I've also got pretty good power base. But
base. He's got a good base.
Yeah. I mean, my 20-minute power is pretty solid, I think, but I also weigh 81 kilos, so it's kind of like that power to weight ratio is a tough one. So I was just trying to harness that to actually work over a longer ride. And then my weakness is probably cramp, as I found out last year. Yeah.
Geez, no, this was questions I was asking you guys. I don't have answers for myself.
All right.
Quick,
No,
think
but
of one.
what's that? Yeah,
Think of one quick.
No, my weakness is probably the same as you guys, going too hard out of the start, like every race. However, the last 2 cross-country races that I've done, I've started slow and tried
Finished
to
slow.
Well, I finished slow, but I would have finished slower had I not started slow.
Ah,
So, yeah.
Did
No,
it work
actually,
out? Did you get? Were you higher up the results, or did you?
100%.
Oh, you
No
were?
doubt.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's so hard when you go off the start, though, not to go with everyone.
well, when
You
you're in
just
a
don't-
bunch,
you
you've just
just
got to
don't
go
need
with
to when
it.
There's 2. I got a couple of examples here. One is the guys who race the single speeds are never at the front at the start because they don't have the gearing to, and they always, Garth Weinberg, Shannon, I was going to say Shannon Doherty,
Whitlock?
Shannon Whitlock. You know, those guys are nowhere at the start, but halfway through the race, they will be gone.
He followed me
Guaranteed.
up Pondy Elevator to the top of Split Ends last year, and then when he passed me down at the bottom of that in Old Chevy while I was cramped and I realised he was on a single speed, that was where I just about drowned myself in the inch of water that was in the creek beside me. I was like,
Yeah.
God damn it,
I
I've just
mean,
been
that's-
passed by a dude on a single speed, hardtail.
100%. But I think we're all classic gravity people who were so used to gaining time or looking for time on the downs, and the time's not there. In fact, we're in the prime position because we can probably carry better speed and just relax, still going faster than 90% of the field. Save that energy, and the last 2 races that I've done have ended, really well. Yeah, because of that. So that's my weakness, but I guess it's turning into a strength because now I know not to do that. Strengths would be maybe
Wisdom.
preparation when it works. Wisdom, I don't know. I know a lot of stuff, but putting it into action is the hard
Listening to
part.
podcasts.
You've proven that can cut both ways, Lester. You lost your bottles last year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you got to try the things too. I think that's the advantage of having done it for so long. In one shape or another, you can be like, okay, 1995, I did that.
Can we talk?
Time to try it again.
Can we talk about the training session you did this week, or is that under embargo?
No,
this is too good. Is that a strength or a weakness?
I was actually going to do a little video on it because I filmed myself while I was riding.
Oh boy!
We wait for that.
But I didn't. I'm just looking at it.
It's so good.
Hilarious.
Katie, so Lester watched a video on heat adaptation. He's wearing a painter's suit.
What's in your mouth?
Yeah, what is in your mouth?
Not in my mouth.
Oh.
It does look like it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
You got it in your mouth as well.
It looks like it, doesn't it? No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just a flap in the angle that it's on. So, this is one of these things where you got to try the stuff, right? So ages ago, well, in fact, years ago, I heard about people doing heat training, and I was like,
back in '92.
Yeah. I'm like, every year the Whaka is hot, right? To some degree, compared to
this
winter.
year, because you keep saying that.
Hopefully not this year. This year I'll be prepared if it is. But so dudes are doing like mad heat training sessions, and I'm like, well, I can do a heat training session. So I went to Mitre 10 and I got the spray painter's suit.
I fucking love this.
And when I got home from work, I put the heater on in the room that I have my bike set up. I had that on 25 for like over an hour before I went in there. And I walked in there after the kid, put the kids to bed, go in there. And it's like a heat wave hits me. And I'm like, whoa, it's hot already. And I'm not even kitted up. And so I put on my bibs and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. And I put on a t-shirt underneath. And then I put the spray painter's suit on and I put a buff over my head. And no fan, the heat is still blasting. And the idea is to get your body core temperature to 38 degrees, which is hot. And
did you try the rectal thermometer like the guy suggested in the video?
No, I did really. Well, that was the kicker, right? As I saw a random GCN video popped up on my YouTube the other day, and it was about the heat training, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to try this. And it was it was the hardest. I was on there for 45 minutes, and I did like a 10-minute kind of like threshold-ish effort to get hot to start with. And you're just like sweating intensely, but it's not coming out anywhere because it's all just hiding inside the suit.
Oh,
And
that's so
I
yuck.
took it off afterwards. And the t-shirt I had on underneath was as wet as it would have been if I'd hopped out of a pool. And so the other side to this was I weighed myself before I went on the bike, weighed my fluids, everything like that. And then I weighed myself after the ride with no kit on, and did some rough calculations. And my sweat rate for that ride was 2.7 litres an hour. In 45 minutes, I lost 2 litres of sweat. It was insane.
That's amazing.
I mean, even if you halved that because of an error, I don't know, a 1 litre in 45 minutes, whatever. I mean, it was more than that. But so
It's
anyway,
a lot.
Long story short, the plan is to conquer 2 of those a week until the Whaka, and then we'll see what happens. I'm either going to completely
Oh, so you're going to
die.
stick with it?
You're going to do more of these?
Well, we'll give it a try, because I trained the day after that thinking, oh, it's going to have cooked me, but you're just doing such low, like you go from this like 10-minute threshold effort to get hot, then you just bottom out and you're basically just doing enough effort to stay hot. So like 140 watts or something like that.
Your power runs, like you're running at a low power, or not running, you're riding at a low power, right? So you're in like a
it doesn't
like
tax
zone
your
2,
muscles.
like low. But what's your heart rate like? Your heart rate's pretty elevated.
Well, heart rate went up. Yeah. So it started low, like it would normally be like 120-ish for that kind of effort, and then it just slowly ramped up. And I think it was probably about an average of 145, which is way higher than it would be. But that's the nature of that. You are still stressing the body, just not stressing your leg muscles.
Lester, I've got an idea for you. I've got something for you. I think you're going to like it. So
bring it.
Okay, Katy, we all have families and kids and stuff, which which largely determines how and when we train, and we fit our riding and stuff around our family lives. I'm fortunate to be going to tropical North Queensland for a week next week.
What I'm thinking though, Lester, holidays.
Yeah,
I'll be away next week too.
What I'm thinking here, Lester,
that's been nice.
Is you can pitch to your family a tropical holiday somewhere, right? And Jim might say, "Are you sure? Like Whaka's in a couple of weeks?" You're like, "No, it's time we get away with the family, go somewhere nice and warm. You go to Fiji or Samoa, just the tropics." Lo and behold, he turns up with a painter's suit and like a full light sweatsuit and the road bike on the trainer.
Brings
and
an
he's
erg
just
with
doing
him
a week's worth of it. That I can
in the tropics.
Yeah, in the tropics, and it's your pre-Whaka tropical training camp with the family.
This is heat adaptation camp for the hot Whaka.
Heat adaptation. Yeah.
It's going to be cold.
Oh man,
I like
all day. Anyway,
not too cold.
Chris, we need to wrap this up soon. You go. What's your strengths and weaknesses, mate? It's your turn. You can just copy ours if you can't come up with your own.
Yeah, well, it depends whether they're like relative strengths and relative weaknesses, because like relative to everyone else at the Whaka on the day, I'd say, I've got descending as a strength. Weakness is basically everything other than descending. So prep is probably a weakness. I'd say general fitness is probably going to be like a relative weakness compared to the rest of the field. But it's an important but, is I think one of my big strengths coming into this race is my mental game.
Oh,
I'm bringing a big mental game this year. Like
it's another Katy Winton video right there.
100%.
It's already out, guys.
Yeah.
It's out this week.
Watched it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
And then I've got an edge on you and Lester, you and Kieran. I don't know where you stand on this one, Katy, but I don't know how many
antacids for
local
cramp.
XC races you guys have been doing, but I've been doing some local XC races.
And how did that go for you, Chris?
Well, again, it's relative, isn't it? I feel like my results kind of need to be put to the fire of what do you guys think? So, Katie, I did my third ever XC race on Sunday.
Congratulations.
It was one of the P&P race series here in Wellington. So, very good local XC race, actually. And shout out to the organisers of the P&P series. It's a spring series. I think there's 5 rounds. This one was
trying to
quite
get himself
close to
some
home,
free
so I was
entries
able
next
to.
time.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a second, actually. I got a late entry. So that's actually where the race report starts. It
was a last-minute decision.
Well, it had been bubbling away for the week before. I was like, yeah, I think I'll do this race. And then come Saturday night, I text Red Dog. Said, he said, are you doing this race? I said, yeah, I think so. But I hadn't got an entry and looked, and entries closed at 2 p.m. On the Saturday, and it was now 8 p.m. So I flicked an email off to the organisers, and they did me a solid. They let me sign up on the day, which is good. And we got there, and I think one thing I observed is I've got massive imposter syndrome when it comes to XC races. Like, I'm rolling up. I am riding an XC bike, and
When you're in Lycra?
for the 100%, I was in my Lycra. I was representing the OTB or the OTB team
man.
shirt. Second outing for the OTB team shirt.
You can send your expensive claim in.
Yeah, well, I'm going to write off the travel costs. But yeah, so massive imposter syndrome. I'm walking around going, I don't belong here. Even though it's a local XC race and there's kids riding around, who are just having a go. But race time rolled around. We were due for a 12:30 start, and I think they had a few issues with the timing system, so we were standing, kind of doing a bit of waiting around for an hour. I'd spent about 30 minutes sort of leading up till 12:30. So from about 12 o'clock to 12:30, I was getting in the zone, as I'd put it. So I was firmly in the zone. The mental game. Yeah, the mental game was coming on real strong. I'd just been listening to like Kendrick Lamar on repeat. Had the headphones on. Didn't have the big headphones though. Like, I wasn't quite on that space.
Is sunglasses on so no one can make eye contact with you? Or?
I was wearing sunnies, actually. Yeah, I was wearing sunnies. Kind of standing sort of by myself off to a distance there. And then we ended up kind of waiting for quite a while. So a lot of that fizz kind of died down and turned into a little bit of, like, I kind of need to get home and water blast the deck. So let's get on with this. But the guts of this race was quite a good course for an XC race, I thought. So it's a relatively small hill. It might be 150 meters vert. And it's a single track, quite a cool downhill track. And then just a single track climb, goes through a little bit of a dirt jump section, and then a lap of like a big gravel kind of car park, goes through a pump track. So, good variable stuff. Start line, we go off the start line and it goes up around a big water tower. It's probably about 300 meters of tarmac, and then hairpin into the single track downhill. And there's no passing on the downhill. And so I was sort of expecting those start as some waves. The masters class consisted of 6 people. So, the waves were never going to be big. Turned out that they just put everyone together. So open men, open women, masters men, masters women, everyone. And I managed to jostle my way relatively to the front. So, I thought, fuck it, I'm going to be fast on the downhill here. So I've got to get to the downhill section at the front. And I reckon I was probably 4th man or 4th person into the downhill. So I was feeling pretty good. So a big, powerful sprint off the start. And again, the mental game at that point was strong. I was having a hell of a time, just chopping people, just left, right, and centre. And then got into this downhill, peeled out what I reckon was a pretty good lead on a few guys behind me. And then we just got onto the climb. And I probably underestimated, I probably struggled with the climb at the pace that I was hoping to ride it. But we pushed through. Lap 1 went okay. And it's sort of like it turned into a bit of a game of two halves because we kind of got through. Lap 1 was like, all right, cool, could do that 5 times. Right. Lap 2, cool. Find a few lines, figure out how to. The climb was sort of made up of two major sections, like kind of sharp at the bottom and then mellows off, get a good spin. And then kind of got halfway through lap 3 and I was like, shit, I'm on the good half now. I'm on the way home. And then going through the dirt jump section on lap 3, I just about died. So I pulled a huge endo. Because these dirt jumps in Miramar, there's like a kind of a jump section, and I've got wooden drops to landings. But you can get from the front side of the wooden ramp to the landing. So you just gap the wooden ramp, and everyone was taking photos there. So it's like, well, my strength here is going to be the descending. So I was gapping this wooden thing, and I was every time as well. This is the other bit, right? So this is where this is the part of XC racing that I was starting to enjoy. Is like I was starting to dial in the downhills and dial in the dirt jumps, and just going, I'll just deal with the climb because let's nail these downhill sections. Came to the dirt jump section on this third lap and just pinned it, gapped this thing, and just tried to scrub this thing. And when you scrub something and you're just going way too fast, and no scrub's going to save you. And I was out the front door, going straight to flat, and just full chest on the bars, and just heart rate was pinging off the roof. And I'm like, I've just about died, on the XC bike. So we sort of dialed it in after that. But then, and just rode it home, pretty solid. And we ended up 10th overall.
Very good.
Third in Masters, like I say, Masters class of 6 people. So,
it's podium.
Podium and Masters will take it for the OTB.
Exactly. So the OTB, they've got a new segment that I recommend we do, maybe a bit of a holiday segment, which is, and Katie, we're going to need representatives in the women's field as well. So I don't know whether or not your Masters actually, you might just be doing them open, but we're going to start going to local XC races, the smaller the better, and just seeing if we can stack the podium.
Okay, got you. Yep.
Yeah.
Doing it just for the gram.
Just for the gram.
Yeah, just for the photo. Yeah. The biggest disappointment for me was that if Red Dog had been there, he would have probably won Masters, which actually might have bumped me to 4th, so that would have sucked. But there was
good he didn't show
the possibility of sharing a podium with Red Dog, which is something that's never happened in my life, would have been like a real high point. And so then coming into Whaka, having reached probably the highest point in my XC career, would have been really good build-up, but that didn't happen. So, I don't really know where we stand now.
I've just got a question, actually, because you talked about something about the head game in this. What was the conclusion to that? You think this is better than those two? Why?
So I did learn a bit about the head game in this one. I learned a little bit about XCO racing and lap racing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Every lap feels a bit different. Obviously, this doesn't apply to Whaka at all because it's just one lap. But every lap feels different, right? And what I found, I played a few mind games, a few brain tricks as I was going. A couple of points where I was feeling a bit down, and I just went to a happy place, So,
describe your happy place, please.
Oh, this is actually a serious one. I was thinking about my little boy. So he's a pretty cool little dude, and he was standing up there watching with my wife, and so that could have been a massive net negative because he was standing right by the dirt jumps where I almost broke my neck. But thankfully it didn't happen. But yeah, so in a couple of those kind of points where I was like, no, dig deeper. Went to a happy place and found, no, this is fun. And then also did a little bit of shit, we're actually doing okay here. Just keep pushing. And then and I had a little bit of I can't wait to tell my fellow co-hosts about this event. That was also driving me on.
Nice.
So what I took away from that, and I've learned this from the fault line as well and Whaka last year, is it's all in your head. It's when you're out the back of Whaka and you're by yourself and you haven't seen anyone for fucking forever. The one thing about Whaka that is always going to help you is there's always a fun downhill coming up. So you can always look forward to something at Whaka.
Are you saying cramp is just a state of mind? It's just a,
Well, cramp. There's a positive in the cramp as well, because that was still one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me. So while I don't want to cramp again, there's they're good with the bad.
It's a moment.
Yeah.
It's part of the journey, right?
Yeah.
Well, hey,
And
I think now that we've talked through all these pre-Whaka strategies, mind games, fueling, and whatnot with Katie, I reckon we're going to have to do a post-Whaka recap as well with you to see how it all played out for all of us, because I think we're probably going to have a few varied stories again. So it'd be great if you could join us for one, after the race as well.
I'd love that. I want to know if Lester managed to hold on to his balls or not.
And if he shows up in a painter's suit.
Yeah.
I want to know if Lester just slowly, like, completely diminishes electrolyte stores between now and race day and turns up with nothing because he's just sweated all of it out.
I think I might have messaged KB, and I was just like, I'm so ripped after this. Like, you lose all this water, and I was like, I can understand now why.
You're just
standing in front of the mirror.
Yeah, you're just like, check.
I just got an image of Lester in a gold thong, like fully bronzed up, just like strutting out on the stage.
He's like, I've got abs for the first time ever.
Right.
It's a crack, actually.
That was quite amusing. Anyway.
Excellent. And that's a terrible thought that we probably should leave the listeners with as we sign off for another week. But thanks for joining us, Katie.
On the gram, I'll slide you a photo of it, people.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, if you want a photo of Lester in a gold thong, just hit us.
Yeah.
All the high quality content coming here.
No, it's been great. Thanks for joining us, Katie. We'll probably better wrap it up. We've been at this a while. We probably would have lost half the people anyway, but if you've made it this far, congratulations as always. And we'll see you next week.
All right.
What's up? I come from the land of down under. I can't hear you. What was that? I can't hear you. I let it be like John Lennon, the anti-serum that you don't get for poisonous venom. Read the label carefully, I'm only here for the show. I love hip-hop too much to let you feed my ego. In the key of F-U-C-K, Y-O-U. I mean, why do I owe you if you're not helping me through? I mean, why do I owe you if you're obstructing my view? Success is not my castle, just a house that's brand new. You see, I irrigate the culture, give it shape like a sculpture. Still complicated, rock like I'm supposed to be. L-I-T-Z like my DJ. Rock to the rhythm like you rock to what he plays.